Well, hello, my sister. How are you doing today? I'm ready to talk. Are you ready? Are you ready to listen and you ready to talk back to me? We got some things to talk about. And today I'm talking to leaders. I'm talking to my sister that's in leadership. Whatever leadership you may be in, whatever position you might be in, I want to talk to you. And a part of leadership I want to talk to you about is you being broken. You being broken, and I'm talking about you being healed. A lot of time in ministry and in leadership or whatever we may be doing as coaches, evangelists, prophetess, ministers, teachers, pastors, whatever position we may be in, boss lady, being in a position where you leading over people. A lot of time we don't deal with the real issue. We so busy wanting to shine as being leaders, and we a mess. We messed up on the inside, and we try to lead somebody somewhere that we cannot be effective to lead them. The reason why we can't be effective is because we have not affected ourselves. We have not dealt with us first. Being a leader is being led by example, not being fake, not just coming up with a name saying I'm an evangelist, I'm a teacher, I'm a prophetess, I'm a life coach, I'm this type of coach, and all these different things. And we come up with these names, but we are a mess. We can't help nobody else for the closets that we haven't even got cleaned out in our own life. Let's talk about being broken. We all have been into, well, I just say a lot of us that have been through a lot of hurt, a lot of pain that we have experienced and came out of. Some of us is out of it, but we haven't came out of it because we're still allowing those things to bother us. We continue to think about the past, what happened to me in the past. And every time you try to start something new, you allow the past to come back up to hinder you from doing a new thing. But you still feel that you need to be in leadership. But since you can't move on until you deal with that thing that keep holding you back, you cannot move forward until you deal with you. How can you help me when you're hurting yourself? Broken cannot heal broken. If both of us broken, who gonna help each other? Somebody got to get healed and delivered. Somebody got to get set free from these things and then turn around and use them for a blessing. The things that happened in our life, yes, some of us caused it and some of us did not cause it. But it still happened. Now what we're going to do with it now? Where we're going to go from here with this? We need to be leaders by example. If I can tell you some of the things that I've been through, you're like, sis, how you did it. You're still smiling. You're still in your right mind because I had to deal with it. I couldn't keep blaming somebody who did it to me. The more I blamed that person, the more I constantly talked about that person, the weaker I gotten and the longer I stayed in it. But I got to the point where I said, you know what? Yes, it happened. Yes, they said it. Yeah, he did it or she did it or whoever. I said, now what am I going to do about it? I had to find out that I had to love myself first. I can't love nobody if I don't love myself. I can't help nobody if I don't help myself. You got to deal with you, sis. You got to get healed so you can be truly effective. I told you one time before, when you start dealing with people's lives and start talking to them, coaching them, trying to help them, there are going to be some things that you're going to say or that person going to say that's going to remind you of where you've been. If you're not delivered from that thing, and if you're not healed from that thing, you're not going to be effective in that area. Because when you talk to them, you're going to talk about what happened to you. You're going to talk about it as if it's still happening. You're going to talk about it with pain in your voice and in your eyes. Let me talk to you like this. You helping a sister, and she telling you her story, or you begin to share with her some of the things that you've been through, don't you dare cry. Because if you begin to shed tears while you talking about your incident that you happened, you're not healed from it, sis. You're not delivered from it, sis. It's got to be where it don't bother you no more. It has to come where you, when you talk about it, it's something that happened to you, not happening to you. If you begin to explain how they did it, you got to be careful how you take yourself back to it. You got to be careful how you word things, because you don't want anything to come back up where you're not going to help your sister. Then it's sad story. She turned around trying to help you. You see what I'm saying? So we're in leadership. We got to be healed first. Healed from that thing where you could talk about it and it don't hurt you no more. Talk about him where it don't bother you no more. Talk about her when it don't bother you no more. Child, girl, this man beat me, honey. He did these things to me, girl. He done fooled around on me. He done got a child out of wedlock while we was together. Honey, but you know what? That's in my past. That's how you have to say it. And you got to say, girl, I thought I was going to lose my mind when that happened to me. That's how you got to tell it. Because you didn't lose your mind. Now, you been in leadership. You been broken before. Deal with it. Get over it. Move forward. Now, let's start leading. Let's start being that leader that we need to be to help our sisters to come out of this stuff. Because it's not over. Just because you've been through it, it's not over. It might feel like it's over. It might feel like there's nowhere else you can go. It might feel like this is just the end. There's nothing left for me to do. But what I'm going to encourage you is, take a look at me. Take a look at me. If I've overcame things and now I'm leading, you can do the same thing. Whatever your position is, what I want you to do, sharpen that. Come on, let's get this leadership skill together. Leaders is skilled. When you say you are a leader, you have leadership, you have to have the skills to lead. It ain't just saying I'm a leader. You got to know that you know what you're talking about. You got to get this thing right. And when you know what you're talking about, you're going to talk with confidence. You're going to talk with, I know what I'm talking about. You're going to talk to the point where you're going to be able to help your sister. And she's going to be able to come out of it victorious because you showed her how to come out of that. It ain't just only saying this, sis. You got to be able to demonstrate it. You got to be the first partaker of what you're giving. You got to be the first one to say, I overcame it. And I had to learn how to deal with it. Because it's the fact. It happened. The truth of the matter is, it happened to me. For me. It happened to me, for me. Anybody else would have lost their mind. Anybody else would have committed suicide. Anybody else wouldn't have not made it, or they would still be in it. But you done came out of it. Let me show you where I'm at right now. I am in Florida. I am relaxing. Sis, you got to get somewhere where you're going to be able to relax. Quit talking about what you cannot do. You talking about moving forward in your life. You talking about growing. You got to grow. You got to do this. It is not something that's going to come easy. But you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to quit making up all these excuses. There are so many excuses we can use. So many excuses we can find. But I made up my mind. This is what I'm going to do because this is what I'm called to do. And this is what I need to do. Not only for myself, but for myself. And I could be able to pull my sister out with me to let her know, let's do this thing. If you feel that you're in ministry, you're a coach. I have a friend that written a book. I wish I could remember the name of the book, but when I find the name of that book, I will share it with you. It's a whole story of what she's been through. She wrote a book. What book you gonna write? What story you gonna tell? You got to be able to have something to show where I've been. I don't care if it's a scar, if there's a scar, because sometimes the scar even shows on the outside. That's also on the inside of us. So that scar that's on the inside of you, let it heal. Let it heal. And once you heal, girl, get to running. Get to running, get to telling, get to talking. Tell them, hey sis, come on here, girl, come on. No. Don't talk like that. You got to talk with confidence and faith to say, look, I am coming out of this. And I'm going to bag you up and tell you, girl, you coming out of this. We're going to do this thing together. Reach back and get your sister and say, come on, let me lead you in the way you need to go. Let me show you how I gotten there. And the next step for my life. The next thing I want you to do, my leaders, my coaches, you know, all of us is in coaching. Whatever position that we're in, we're all coaches because we're trying to help somebody get somewhere. Some of us do it by example. Some of us do it by example of talking. Some of us do it by example of preaching. Girl, y'all better come on here. It's in you. You're doing it already. So just sharpen it up. Try to really know where you're trying to aim at. If you are speaking, have a direction you're going. Don't just get up there just saying stuff just to be saying it. Get a direction. I want to help my sister come out of abuse. I want to help my sister become a life coach. I want to help her in her ministry. Come with a tool that you come in to help her. And say, this is how you do it. And sis, listen. Quit being to the point where you can't hear. You can't be in teaching. You can't be in taught. You have to be able to be taught to be a leader. If you so headstrong that somebody try to tell you something and you say you already know that, you will not go nowhere. Because leaders first had to learn how to follow. Leaders first had to learn how to get instruction. Because there's instructions on how you do this. A lot of us we're not born with leadership skills. We're not born with, that's why you go to school. You go to school and you learn different skills. You learn different things. So when you get grown, you'll be productive in life. That's the purpose of school. It's to instruct you, to teach you how to become who you are and how to become great. So we're teaching you to come out of this what you're in. And when you come out of it, you're going to be productive. You're going to be able to help somebody, and you're not going to be ashamed to tell your story. You know, yeah, we know some stories you can't tell to everybody, but there is somebody that need to hear that story you have to tell. And I want you to not be afraid to tell it. Everywhere I go, I don't find no strangers. I talk to everybody. We in the store, I'm going to say something to a sister about something. I don't care if it just say, girl, you know you rocking that shirt. You know you look nice today. Sis, girl, you got it going on. I'm going to say something to encourage my sister. I'm going to say something, you know what it does? It put a smile on her face. And she said, thank you. And I want to say, you're welcome. Because if anything, we need to uplift one another. We have to encourage one another. You know, it's sad. We're being sisters and coaches and stuff. We don't even strengthen each other. We so busy trying to build our own, we forget about the other person. We're not in this alone. We're in this thing together. You might be over there and I might be over here, but if we're working for the same thing and having the same goals to help somebody, we should be able to come together and work together doing the same thing. I don't care how many followers you have. I don't care how many people you say you have in your group. It doesn't matter. See, that's what we miss it at, because we think that's what it's all about. That's not what it's all about. If I can help one soul, if I can help one sister, if I can help one, I have accomplished something great. Now, thank God if I could do more than one would be awesome. But you got to start with that one. First, the one is you. Then the second is the person that God put in your path to help. Now, I just want to talk. I'm just talking to you about being broken to healing and being leaders. Not only just being a follower, being a leader, and you're growing. All right? So I'm going to leave you with that. Thank y'all for listening. And you know what? I'll see y'all again. Later.